Welcome to the Cloud Pod, where the forecast is always cloudy. We talk weekly about all things AWS, GCP, and Azure. We are your hosts,
Justin,
Jonathan,
Ryan,
and Peter.
Episode 88, recorded on September 29th, 2020, the Chronicles of the Cloud Pod. Good evening, Jonathan, Peter, and welcome back, Ryan.
Hello. I'm back.
Yeah, we discussed your choices and vacation locations on the Eastern Oregon in the middle of fires last week on the show. So we're glad you made it back in one piece. I see your beard's only a little bit singed, so it wasn't too bad.
Just a fair amount, so I don't have to trim it. Yeah, no, I spent a long time lamenting, like, why do I do this again? But then I had such a blast while I was out there that just riding around in the middle of nowhere in the Eastern Oregon desert that I regret nothing.
So you survived the Oregon Trail.
I did. Only a little bit of dysentery.
Nice. Well, that's a good game. I missed that game. All right. Well, we have an action-packed set of news this week once again. So first up is VMworld Week, you guys. I don't know if you knew that. None of you are VMware people, so you probably didn't. But in VMworld fashion, they talked about all their amazing things like Tanzu and how they think they're making Kubernetes easier for the enterprise. And they had a bunch of other stuff no one cared about. But today they announced that they have purchased SaltStack. VMware announced that it's purchasing SaltStack, the company behind widely used infrastructure automation tooling to enhance its vRealize cloud management software suite. This is interesting to me because it came only a few weeks after Chef was acquired.
Chef was acquired?
Yeah,
that's right. You're out.
You go on vacation. What happens?
Wow. Yes, they were by a company you've never heard of, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, the minute I read the show notes, I immediately, Chef was acquired, and I tried searching the news, and then it took me a few minutes to find it, because, what is it? It's such a non-name
they went
company.
from Chef to a company named Progress. So
right. So, Google was just like, yeah, no. Not returning any relevant results, to be fair.
Yeah, and then it was funny, I didn't know anything that Progress made either, and I had to go look it up, and then there's two apps that they make that you might recognize. One is Telerik Controls, which are a pretty popular UI control framework that will cause you nothing but grief. And then they made an application called What's Up Gold for those old school infrastructure monitoring people.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah. What's up?
I remember What's Up Gold.
But anyway, so SaltStack, of course, is the primary backer of Salt, which is an open source tool that countless information technology administrators worldwide use to carry out day-to-day maintenance until they discover Ansible. So there you go.
It kind of makes you think, were SaltStack and Chef the winners of the configuration management race, or are they the losers?
Well, Ansible was picked up by Red Hat forever ago. So it depends on which measure we're using. Is it last?
So Puppet's really the only one standing free right now, isn't it? So who buys them? But yeah, no, I was wondering about this, that it was VMware interested potentially in buying Chef, and then when Chef chose Progress instead, did they pivot to buying Salt? Because we were talking about last week or 2 weeks ago when this happened that it was surprising to me BMC or Computer Associates or one of these other IT enterprise tool companies didn't buy Chef over Progress. So it was a little interesting to me. Or then we didn't even think about VMware, but the tech debt lender of infrastructure would definitely own Chef. That would make sense.
It would make complete sense. I'm very surprised.
Yeah. Those other companies didn't buy Chef because they'd used it before.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So if you're a Salt family person, you are now a VMware Salt. So you can rub salt in all those wounds as appropriate.
I just hope they do something like what they're doing with the Heptio acquisition, and sort of using it to modernize their platform rather than just sort of bury it in part of we offer configuration management too, kind of.
I'd be curious to see if they integrate it somehow with Cloud Health, and a lot of times these guys acquire a suite of tools to fulfill their cloud product strategy, and they have a plan on integration. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to AWS, who has a bunch of news for us this week as usual. They always come through every week with lots of news. Just they have a habit of it. I think it's all the services they have and a lot of updates. But the first one is our favorite product to mock. Amazon Glue has gotten a new visual job authoring tool called the Amazon Glue Studio, because we want to make it artistic or artisanal. The artisanal GUI to allow you to go modify and change your ETL jobs without having to be a developer You can also run and monitor those Amazon Glue jobs from this console, and the simple visual interface makes it easy to compose the jobs that move and transform data and execute them for you. This is all available to you, and it is a lovely visual WYSIWYG editor that I went and played with earlier today. I created a very simple ETL job between my SQL database and my S3, and it was pretty quick and easy to do. But
that's good.
Nothing really amazing. If you've already been doing Glue programming or Glue language stuff, might limit you. But if you're new to it, I think it's a great starting place. I'm surprised it wasn't just an integration to Visual Studio Code, because that's kind of what everyone is doing nowadays. But hey, I'll take a console-based update with a nice visual editor there too.
You think this is going to form a part of their no-code solution of products?
I mean, I think it's more just as admission that Glue, as it was when it's released, wasn't very usable by a lot of people. So it was very confusing.
Certainly by the people who needed to use it.
Yeah. So, I don't know, overwhelming, customer feedback is probably what.
Well, if you weren't impressed with the WYSIWYG for ETL, Amazon backups are now going to support application-consistent backups of Microsoft workloads on EC2. Which is basically means that they now support visual or volume shadow copy services, or VSS, for Microsoft properly, which means you can create, manage, and restore consistent backups of your Microsoft Windows Server instances and Microsoft applications, including SQL Server, AD, and Microsoft Exchange, directly from an AWS backup console. You can schedule those backups, define the lifecycle policies for the backups, and perform consistent restores with AWS Backup, all managed for you by the magic of Amazon. And to make this happen, of course, it will be useful, but do make sure you have the SSM agent first, because that is how they trigger the VSS backup action with the magic of AWS Backup. So it makes a call to SSM to invoke VSS, and then you can take your backup with it being ACID compliant. Otherwise, those backups are not fun to restore.
Yeah, I really could have used this in 2015 when we did a big migration and had to deal with backups of EBS on Microsoft.
Yeah, this is kind of how I can tell, people who dabble with running Windows up, in production, or people who have done it for a while, because these are the scars. I remember, being bright-eyed and being like, well, just back that up at the EBS volume. What could go wrong? And then all the Windows people just looked at me in horror. I'm like, why? It's no big deal. And then, of course, it was a nightmare later, because I had no idea that you had to freeze everything at the OS layer.
Yep. Yeah, SQL Server does not like to have your, just take an EBS snapshot of a SQL Server. It doesn't particularly like that so much.
No matter how much EBS will tell you that it's, one point in time and abstracted from the OS, it's still no.
No.
It's pointed down for one disk, though, right? But not necessarily a bunch of disks either, which is a problem with Windows with striping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Extended volumes.
Yeah. Well, that's why they released for AWS Backup, I think it was about a month or two back, the ability to have all the snapshots happen at the same time on a host, which solves that problem too. So I think they're fixing all these weird edge cases of backups with AWS Backup these days, and really helping you make sure you hit all of the use cases that you want, which is great.
Yeah, but they still don't support backing up like the VM as a whole, like taking a snapshot of a VM like you can with VMware, including the RAM and the current CPU state and running processes. You can't suspend a machine or take a backup of a running machine and then restore it in its running state. I think that's still a gap that they have.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting to see how they do that with Nitro, because the way VMware does it is with some magic and rollback logs and stuff like that. So I'd be curious to see how they actually pull that off with Nitro and stuff. Maybe it's not as easy to do, which is why they haven't done it.
I think it's more along the lines as it would point them in a direction where it would be hard to do something like Nitro, because the isolation that you get with segmenting your workload like that, and then also having them be able to restore with however that's done, logs or is very.
Since we said it can't be done, it means that it will happen at reInvent. So make
That's
sure
true.
you have
It's useful for forensics. Even if it's not useful for actual backup and restores, it's useful for forensics to take a copy of a whole machine, including the RAM and everything else. But I mean, on the other hand, I guess it's a sign that that's not the cloud way to do things. That's get your foot in the door with a migration, and we'll give you these small set of options, but we're not going to give you the whole machine snapshots.
Yeah, I could just hear Werner just furious. That's not the way to do it.
That's not the cloud way.
Yeah.
Well, AWS Security Hub has added 14 new controls to the AWS Foundational Security Best Practices Standard. These 14 new controls hit all things like EC2, EMR, KMS, RDS, S3, and Secrets Manager. And I picked out a couple that I either have some issues with or I really like. So the first one is EC2.8, which is EC2 instance should be use IMDS S2 or V2, which is the metadata version 2 service. While I agree that it's a really great thing to do, if you're not ready for that, don't do that. But the security tickets I will get that I don't have this enabled, then having to explain why I need the less secure version of metadata is not a conversation I'm looking forward to with our security team anytime soon. So that one makes me slightly unhappy. And then the next one that I was not super jazzed about was that basically a 2 secrets manager. One, secrets manager secrets should have automatic rotation enabled, and secrets manager secrets configured with automatic rotation should rotate successfully. Well, isn't that what the first one does? Like, why do I need a guarantee that it rotated successfully in addition to that it rotated automatically? It didn't really make sense to me why I need both, but here we are. So those are some interesting ones here. There's other ones about encryption by default for all EBS volumes, which is a encrypt everything standard. IAM custom manager key should not allow decryption actions on KMS keys, which is good. You definitely not do that unless it's a service. And then cluster snapshots, encryptions, and stuff like that are all available to you as well. And then there's also one here too. RDS DB instances should be configured for multiple availability zones, which does cost you more money. So way to go, Amazon, giving you a control that costs you more money to increase your profits.
Yeah. When do you think these? Suddenly all of the super expensive security products are going to be recommended?
It shouldn't be controlled. It should be a best practice, right? I mean, if you don't need more than 99.9% uptime, why should you have multiple AZs? And it's kind of my problem with the well-architected framework in general, is that they make these suggestions for people who really don't have any need for them.
But they also don't have the expertise to define the best practices, and they keep going. I don't know how many times I've seen companies go and be like, we just want the right way to do things. We want to be told what that is. And so this is one of the ways that they provide that.
Yeah, but even things like RDS having a delete protection enabled, I mean, it becomes then an obstacle to automation. Mm-hmm. So you manually have to go and uncheck a box before you can delete something. I don't know.
They want you to make sure you don't accidentally delete something and then call support in a panic. I deleted the thing I shouldn't have deleted. Because they have no way to help you when you do that, as we found out many times. Yeah. Are you sure you don't have a copy of that EBS volume somewhere? Nope, it's gone. Okay. Well, in a feature that makes cloud health and cloudability very, very sad, Amazon has announced the anomaly detection and alerting is now available for AWS cost management. This allows you to detect unexpected or unusual spends. AWS cost anomaly detection uses a multi-layered state machine learning model that learns your unique spend patterns to adjust spend thresholds. This means you do not need to worry about determining appropriate thresholds like 10% increase in daily spend and maintaining them as your usage changes over time. Getting started with this is pretty straightforward. Step 1, create a monitor, and this can be restricted to both to any set of variables, including specific AWS services. So if you only care about RDS spend, for example, linked member accounts, cost allocation tags, or cost categories. Once you have those set up, you can then configure them with an SNS or email notification, meaning you can page your phone, you can have a Slack message, you can have an email that you'll never look at, whatever makes the most sense for you. And step 3, it's done. Let the power of ML compel you.
Nice. So you get the message on your phone, hey, it's time to book that ticket to the Bahamas. You're screwed.
Indeed. It's nice, too, that when it does detect anomaly, it does give you a nice little dashboard that tries to tell you what the root cause of that is. Things like, your RDS database is getting more traffic or whatever else. And that root cause allows you to directly into Cost Explorer and see the comparison to see the anomaly itself, as well as to submit assessments to each anomaly. So if you have a team of cost analysis experts and you are working on this, you can have each person kind of put in notes about what this cost anomaly was and why it was there. So when 6 months later, when the CFO comes to you and says, why did we spend so much more money in April? You can go back to your notes and you can see why. So overall, I think that's really great. And I definitely think it kills one of the main use cases of cloud health and cloudability and what they're trying to sell you, which is really that anomaly detection and the fact that your spend has dramatically improved today.
Yeah, and the worst customer experience is getting this huge bill at the end of the month and finding out that it's your fault, you see what you did, it's total oversight, and now you lost 3 months worth of your budget that you have to somehow make up for. You can't help but want to blame AWS even though you're at fault. So this is cool that these features are going to be there all the time for those unexpected automation events or other weird quirky things that can happen when you're spending money and you're not using what you're spending.
Does it say how quickly it responds to anomalies? Is it like a daily check or is it like an hourly check?
I assume it's using all those new daily Kerr reports that they recently produced. Yeah. So I assume it's on a daily basis. I assume it's not on an hourly or by minute basis, but maybe it'll get improvement over time. But I think anything in this space is a great first step.
As someone who's recently caused an anomaly,
I was not going to mention. I was dancing around the subject.
yeah. Yeah, future segment of Ryan does a thing. How did I spend a lot of money?
Badly. Did a thing badly.
Yeah, it's like Ryan used to do a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's busking on the street corner.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't have prod access anymore. I don't know what happened.
Hey everyone, Jonathan here. I just wanted to take a minute to thank the cloud consulting gurus at Foghorn for helping make the Cloud Pod possible. These folks truly get it. Cloud consulting experts since 2008, they are premier tier partners with AWS, Google Cloud Platform Silver, and Microsoft Azure partners. From multi-cloud to containers to moving full production workloads to the cloud under the tightest compliance, Foghorn's team of full-stack cloud engineers have been there, done that, gotten the t-shirt, and are ready to share their experience with you. If you're in the market for some talent to supplement your team, visit www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. www.fogops.io/thecloudpod. Foghorn, the promise of cloud delivered.
So they've made usability improvements to the AWS Management Console. And so I'll basically frankly put this that Amazon has jacked up the console. That's all I can say about it.
Nothing makes me feel like an old man.
The main improvement that they're announcing with this is they included a refreshed and responsive navigation header and footer with an easier ability to add or remove your favorite services in the recently visited section. Depending on your browser, you can also access the navigation menu items using a keyboard, which I have not figured out how to magically do yet with Chrome, so it must be one of the browsers it supports. And previously, customers could only favorite a very small number of services in their navigation header, or remember the icon of their favorite service, which is my favorite game ever. Like, try to name the icon to the service. So now you can basically go into the console. All of your nice little icons that were on the top are now gone because they're all hidden behind a hamburger menu on the left that you had to click. And then all of your recently visited services are there. And then the whole list of all of the services and their icons are available. And you can mark a little star, say, this is a favorite. And then it pops up on the top left of that box, which, that part of it I actually don't hate. It's the fact that they took away the first bar, which was the 5 or 6 services I had pinned to that originally, which made me super grumpy. So that's a bit of a bummer there, but that's available to you now today. Yeah. So if you suddenly saw your console change and you don't know what's wrong, it's them. They did it to you. I'm sorry.
I like it. I really do, actually. I like that you can have many more favorites than you could before, and I like the fact that I've got a small laptop because, the companies are cheapskates sometimes. And so screen real estate is really important to me. And so not having to have that bar at the top with those 5 things in and just one extra click to get the drop down and my favorites are there on the left is fine. It's great. I really like it.
There you go.
It's okay when you're wrong. It's all right.
Yeah.
Now, every other change they've made.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that Route 53 console change?
I actually went to experience that for myself because I looked in Trusted Advisor, and Trusted Advisor says, "Hey, you got a problem with these hosted zones?" Like, okay, let's dive in. No, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I am enjoying Twitter because it's been kind of a delayed reaction. Because I don't think people DNS changes, so it's been a delayed reaction as people have discovered how bad it is. And then like some of the Amazon Slack rooms that I'm in, like OGAWS and ours, and stuff that people will comment about it like weeks after I ranted about it here on the show, and I just chuckle. I'm like, yeah, I know. You just haven't used it, and it's awful in every way.
It is. So that part is awful, but they've also added a lot more information to make it easier to get to, like delegation sets and things, which is really nice because previously that was something you could really only get to through the CLI.
Yeah, I definitely think the information density is better, but the workflow usability wizard magic is terrible. So that's my big beef.
I agree.
I just recently did DMARC records for email domain. And I was laughing thinking about you the first time you had to do it. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's at least you can still go back to the old console still. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I hope forever. Well, if you remember back all the way back to episode 23, which we talked about in May 2019, we talked about Amazon's breaking changes to the AWS S3 style pathing. And at that time, basically, the community kind of erupted and said that it wasn't enough time to make the change. And so they kicked the date out to September 30th, which is tomorrow on recording day, basically, that they're going to turn off the ability to have s3.amazon.aws.com/bucket name/object as a valid path style in favor of bucket name.s3 region Amazon AWS/object. And so apparently customers have continued to push back and are very unhappy with this. And so Amazon has basically said we're not going to do it tomorrow. So you get a reprieve if you totally forgot about this change that was going to break everything about your URLs. They will continue to not allow you to create new buckets with this, but they have given no timescale for when Amazon will provide a new deprecation date. But they are working on providing support for a dotted bucket name, and once that is delivered, there will be at least another year before past style URLs are no longer supported. So you have some unknown time period plus a year to basically fix this problem. So you can ignore it again until some time plus a year later and yell at your Amazon rep again, and hopefully they'll push it out again. So there you go.
That's a good job because I forgot about this actually, and I know for sure this would have broken something I've got running.
Which is never enough time.
Due for a DR test next week as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to wonder, why don't they just call it S4, make all the changes and be done with it, make people transition themselves natively, stop doing dev work on S3 and move on to the next thing.
What would you call that? Simple storage service?
Exactly. Simple DB storage service.
Simpler simple service.
All right. Well, that's it for Amazon this week. And luckily not breaking your change tomorrow. So you're welcome, Jonathan. It's a gift I didn't know I was giving you. Yeah. It's awesome.
Funny segue into GCP, which would have just broken everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, GCP would just turn that right off.
Yeah.
The first thing they're giving you is the ability to have Cloud Run for Anthos support eventing for your Kubernetes microservices. The ability for Cloud Run for Anthos to receive and take action based on events. This makes it easier to build event-driven systems on the Google Cloud. With Cloud Run for Anthos events, you get the following: ability to trigger a service on your GKE cluster, support for 60 plus Google services, either as inbound events or outbound events, and custom events generated by your code to signal between services through standard eventing infrastructure, and a consistent developer experience. All if you're willing to pay for Anthos.
The low price. I mean, event-driven, it beats polling every day of the year, so that's great. But yeah, one of these days we'll get to play with it, but not anytime soon.
I was kind of surprised it wasn't kind of branded with the functions, which is the same functionality, right? Why is it not like a functions for Anthos versus its own thing? Because the word functions didn't even appear in that press release.
I'm not sure it is the same thing as functions, is it?
Oh, functions is event-based.
Functions is their managed platform. You don't have to run on top of Kubernetes. And then Cloud Run is their service that runs on top of Kubernetes. That's all. That's the only difference.
I was thinking, this is more like the event bridge, being compatible is what I was thinking.
It doesn't really give you, I guess EventBridge to other GKE services in a sense, but you don't see it quite as powerful as what EventBridge provides to you. But
I guess I'm just used to Lambda being the glue for everything, so. Buy the Lambda Spackle sticker in the store.
Yeah.
Yes, Lambda Spackle available to you. Please buy a sticker. It pays for tasty beverages for your hosts. A modern detection of modern threats is now Google's new product offering called Chronicle Detect, which is a threat detection solution built on the power of Google's infrastructure to help enterprises identify threats at unprecedented speed and scale. Legacy security systems have difficulty trying to run many rules in a parallel fashion and at scale, making detection difficult to find before it's too late. Google released the building blocks for the service at RSA last year with a data fusion model that stitches events into a unified timeline, a rules engine to handle common events, and a language for describing complex threat behaviors. And now with Chronicle Detect, they stitch all of that together for you in a very much needed higher value service. Chronicle customers can take advantage of detection rules and threat indicators from Uppercase, Chronicle's dedicated threat research team. Uppercase provides IOCs and high-risk threat indicators to identify risks in your environment before you know about them. So not only do you get a great tool to detect stuff, you also get a fantastic team of threat researchers to help you identify those IOCs.
Cool. And not a single mention of machine learning or AI.
I just cut those parts out. It's definitely in the article. Yeah, data fusion model. Data fusion model that's ML. I'm just gonna say. I took a much more editorial approach to our show notes this week, and I cut out a lot of BS. And I can tell you there was buzzword bingo all over every one of these press releases on ML AI. But it's interesting to me that both Azure and Google have gone really heavy into threat intelligence and UB type activities, et cetera. So I'll be curious to see if Amazon steps up to the plate or if they continue to seed the field to their partners in hopes that they provide the right products for their customers. Because I think both Google and Azure are taking leaps and bounds in their security space, where Amazon's definitely giving you a lot of things like Security Hub and these things, but their design is all to integrate third-party tools into your Amazon console versus actually providing the tool, which is what I really want Amazon to do. so I can stop paying these vendors bajillions of dollars.
I mean, Security Hub does have a ton of built-in features for a lot of stuff, as well as the ability to pipe in external vendors. So I kind of see this as almost a Me Too, though, because it's the same sort of type thing. Do you not agree?
No, this is threat detection at a. I mean, yes, like Amazon Detective and some of their security tools do some of this. I agree, but this is actually, yeah. I mean, maybe not this one, but especially in the Azure case, there's definitely tools that they're installing on agents on servers to do more threat detection and more agent-based stuff for the user entity behavior, and that's stuff I don't see Amazon really doing. We've never seen them really come out with DLP protection at Amazon. Again, that's a partner offering. Other than Macy, which is sort of close, but not really, and it only supports S3. Like, there's just a bunch of different use cases that I think Amazon could be enabling with technology versus leveraging their partner network.
Well, at least they can install the agents with SSM now.
That's true. You can install the agents with SSM now. Which there's been like 4 more of those that got announced. I just haven't brought them onto show notes.
Thank you for ignoring those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if your tool wasn't available in the first week, we talked about Symantec, or was it Trend? Trend, I think. There's several more. If you keep checking the website, if you're waiting for your security tool drawer to be available in the SSM system. So.
Cloud computing has changed the way we live, do business, and stay connected. With everyone using the same cloud platforms, winning and losing comes down to having the best talent to build products better and faster. So whether you're an aspiring innovator looking to level up, or a business harnessing the transformative power of the cloud, tech skills and cloud certifications have never been more important. Cloud Academy has thousands of video courses, learning paths, practical hands-on labs in real-world cloud environments, and tools designed to help teams assess, build, and validate critical cloud skills. Most importantly, Cloud Academy stays agile, challenging you with new content, labs, and tons of features that ensure your skills stay relevant and everyone can level up. They cover everything from major certifications to DevOps, security, and programming languages. Cloud Academy is a cloud training platform of choice for Fortune 500 companies and thousands of tech professionals around the world. Don't just take their word for it. Check out the reviews on G2 and get started now at cloudacademy.com. For a limited time, our listeners can lock in 50% off the monthly price for life. Just put in the coupon code CloudPod when checking out. It's a great way to pursue certifications or just cloud build expertise during this crazy time. Again, go to cloudacademy.com and use the coupon code CloudPod to lock in 50% off the monthly price.
Well, if you're working on monitoring your Google Compute Engine VMs, Google has been working on improving observability and operations workflows for Compute Engine, and they are pleased to announce the first wave of enhancements are available to you. The first one is significant improvements to the operating system support for cloud monitoring and logging agents. The ability to rapidly deploy, update, and remove agents to groups of VMs or all of your VMs by policy with little as a single G-Cloud command, and new VM-specific features with the Cloud Monitoring Console, which they'll dive deeper into in later weeks. Google Cloud leverages agents to collect data, of course, including telemetry and logging data, and agents are included in VMs from Google unless you built your own. And of course, these are essential to your VM. They are now giving you the ability to automate the process of installing, updating, removing them, and they now support CentOS 7+, Red Hat 7+, Debian 9+, SUSE Linux 12+, Ubuntu 16, and Windows from 2008 and on, all available to you in the agents.
So SSM for GCP next.
Yeah.
Really more like CloudWatch for GCP than SSM. Yeah. But
they definitely didn't say unprecedented in this announcement.
They did not say a cloud first, which is another fun buzzword they use. So one of the things that all SRE teams hate is when they get a new account and they realize that none of the servers are properly monitored, and they had to go set up thousands and thousands of alert metrics. But now with this new fleet-wide monitoring capability for Compute Engine VMs from Google, you can now use cloud monitoring with zero config out-of-the-box visibility into your entire Compute Engine VM fleet with quick access to advanced monitoring features such as installing the cloud monitoring agent and configuring your fleet-wide alerts. The new infrastructure summary dashboard and expanded VM instance dashboard jumpstarts your troubleshooting with no setup required. And the new single pane of glass gives you an aggregate fleet-wide statistics in a glance and provides insights into the top VMs for a select group of key CPU, disks, memory, and network metrics. And also you can see monitoring agent status and explore advanced metrics, as well as enable thresholds for your entire fleet in one click. So when you make that too low, it will blow up your mailbox. You're welcome. What do you mean you alerted me at 1% CPU? Yeah, well, that's what the AI said to do.
Yeah, it's an anomaly because we normally don't use any CPU.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like these it's almost like an opt-in type for monitoring. But if the only thing better that this could be would be if it was just default, and then you could tune it as you want from there. But having the visibility for like memory usage and disk usage, which you don't get from the outside of the OS level, is really, really nice. And I really wish it was just default.
Yeah, I wish they could give you memory usage amounts from the hypervisor layer, and I'm sure they could do something at least, but no, nobody does.
Why would they do that? Then they tell you where all the capacity you're not getting is going. Like my VM says 100% CPU, but the host only says 20. What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh God, not that conversation again.
Yes, those are deep wounds. Well, Google has also made their AI platform prediction based on GKA backends generally available. This new architecture is designed for improved reliability, more flexibility via new hardware options, and reduced overhead latency and improved latency in general. Several new features added over the course of the beta, including XGBoost SCI kit learning models on high memory, high CPU machine types, resource metrics, and regional endpoints and VPC service controls. Again, this is all the ability to just run all of those amazing AI platform prediction capabilities automatically in GKE. To summarize that for you. You guys are wowed. I can see it. Machine learning, awesome.
We're just so busy trying to figure out how we could use this, mostly.
I don't know how I would use this, actually. I have no idea. But if I was doing predictions, I guess, maybe I'm predicting NFL games and then betting on the results. Maybe that's how I use it. Well, moving on to Azure. Of course, last week was Ignite, which was a lot of news for Azure. So this week we only have one story, which is the holdovers that didn't make the main stage at Ignite, unfortunately. And several of these are interesting on the infrastructure innovation space. So several new Azure infrastructure capabilities have been enabled to unlock cost savings, increase efficiency, and extend innovation anywhere, directly addressing challenges we've heard from customers like yourself out there in the podcast land. So several new features for remote work and business continuity, including Cisco SD-WAN native support for the Azure Virtual WAN Hub, new global load balancer feature for Azure Load Balancer for Unicast fanboys, new capabilities coming soon for Windows Virtual Desktops, including support of Microsoft Endpoint Manager and the new Windows 10 experience, as well as direct integration into Azure Monitoring with that fleet capability we talked about in the past. Preview of Backup Center to enable customers with centralized capability to monitor, operate, govern, and optimize data protection at scale with a consistent management in Azure portal, and a preview of backup support for Azure PostgreSQL, and preview of cross-region restore for SQL and SAP HANA. Of course, SAP HANA being something that Patrick and the team over at Proterra, who joined us for an interview recently, would love to have. So there you go. That's all on the remote work and business continuity side. Anything you're excited about there? No one's excited about Unicast, huh?
Oh, sorry, I dozed off for a minute.
Who's excited about Unicast? Justin, are you?
I mean, I like the idea of it. I never used it, but I like the idea of it. Well, if you weren't wowed by remote work and business continuity, hopefully I can get you guys with making Azure a great place to run Windows and Linux workloads.
Woohoo!
I like both of those workloads.
So the first one is a preview of Azure Auto Manage for Windows Server to reduce day-to-day management tasks with automated operations across the entire lifecycle of Windows Server virtual machines on Azure, which I guess it means every Windows SME no longer has a job. So that's a bummer. The new Windows Admin Center in Azure to perform deep OS management at a centralized location so you don't have to log into the servers. Again, Windows system admins are now sad. And then Azure Hybrid benefits are now extended for Red Hat Linux and SUSE Linux Enterprise customers migrating to Azure. They've made Flatcar Container Linux now generally available, which is compatible with Core OS if you're still using that end-of-life abomination. Flatcar is now available for you. And then a preview of the new Azure Image Builder because everyone else has an image builder. Why doesn't Azure? Azure VMware is now generally available if you wanted to use that. And then automatic VM guest patching, which is what I'm most excited about because patching Windows boxes is the worst. So that one makes me super happy. And then they also now have the ability to give you price history and eviction rates of Azure Spot instances so you can make sure you do, what your Azure Spot eviction rate will be before they kill your instance and kill your workload.
Yeah, I'd love to have that feature in my environment just because testing Spot failover and knowing whether it's doing the right thing is really difficult to do. So having at least historical data where you can make, use previous behavior as an example would be fantastic.
Yeah, it could be like if I price a spot right here, then we're more likely to get evicted than right here. Like, is it worth the extra 2 cents on the bid to keep them running for an extra couple of hours or something?
I thought AWS had that. They had bit history, but
They
ever
do?
since they changed spot pricing, they kind of the amount of evictions that happen on AWS spot is not as high as it used to be back in the day, unless you're using some very niche instances, and then I think you run into that quite a bit. But if you're using like common C5, M5, R5 instance classes, I think you're in pretty good shape for not getting evicted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember eviction rates having a stat. I remember price history.
I don't think eviction rates was there. That's true,
Yeah.
but price history was there for sure.
But you'd tell them when they would just peak. Everybody was evicted. There's sections of those charts that it's obvious it had nothing to do with price. It's just everybody was evicted.
Yeah. It's a reinvent lab happening.
Yeah. Everybody out.
That was the day that I got off spot instances. Was at reInvent when my personal server just died like multiple times. And like every time they start a class, my server just tanks because it's basically getting used for their classes, which is great. And I'm glad to see cloud working. But it was a bit of a bummer because I was trying to attend a conference, not deal with a personal production outage. So, all right, Peter, take us to lightning round.
Azure Synapse Analytics has new features, including merge, copy, and column level encryption.
Raising the question, if I take data that's unencrypted and I copy it to a column that is encrypted, is it now encrypted by default, or did I just break the encryption? That's the question.
That's a good
Keep me up at
question.
night.
Checkmate.
I'm going with encrypted. I'm going with it's encrypted.
I'm going to go with it's copied garbage encrypted data to the new column. Just because I'm feeling pessimistic. And
Yeah.
And you're like, it's an Azure feature, so of course they won't do it properly. It'll munge the data, duh.
Amazon Aurora increases maximum storage size to 128 terabytes.
Meaning that you can now restore your 128 terabyte database in less than 4 days. And all your executives can yell, why isn't it not restored yet?
128 terabytes is crazy. Just mention how much that costs. I think Jeff Bezos must have his next payment on his space rocket due or something.
that's a big database.
AWS Launch Wizard now supports SQL Server always-on deployments on Linux.
I just want to point out the hypocrisy of this statement. Launch Wizard, Linux, and always on. Like, there's a lot going on there that doesn't make sense.
I mean, it says you deploy it, doesn't say it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's true. It does not say it's going to work.
This is how you get someone like me to deploy always on. Like, oh, I can just click button through this? Awesome.
And it'll be on Linux when it's done? Even better.
Excellent.
Amazon TextTract has improved accuracy of detecting currency symbols, key value pairs, and my favorite, checkboxes.
Give me a call when it's ready to understand the CloudFormation JSON file.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, asking for a miracle.
I was just sad that it won't detect my checks incorrectly anymore as rupees, because I was getting paid a lot more money.
Yeah. Amazon CloudWatch Synthetics strengthens end-to-end canary run debugging with X-ray traces.
I'm on to you, X-Ray team. This isn't going to make me use X-Ray either. Nice try.
I felt like all of those words were just random words put in a random
It was
order.
sort of the, yeah. it was a
Yeah,
bit.
generated by the fake AI bot that makes fake news stories.
You can now set up queuing of purchases of AWS savings plans.
I'm so excited to update my dead man switch for when I get fired to automatically queue the $1 billion purchase of savings plans. Watch out, employers of the future. No, I'm just kidding.
Oopsie.
Queuing, as long as they say 6 feet apart.
Oh boy, that's pretty good. Topical, current. Amazon Redshift Spectra adds support for querying open source Apache Hudi and Delta Lake.
I mean, I guess that's only a hoodie we're going to get this year because reInvent's not happening.
Oh, maybe they'll mail them to us.
Maybe so.
No, their admission price is free, right? So they're just gonna let us all in.
If only they had a logistic system of massive scale that could ship T-shirts at pennies on the dollar at cost. If only they had a mechanism to do something like that to stand apart from their competitors. Say, look, we're shipping a hoodie to everybody registered online
without having to wait in line for 25 minutes or 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and without having to fly to Vegas.
I just realized that I don't have to use that horrible mobile app to schedule my conferences or my sessions.
You don't. I mean, it would still be a horrible mobile app. I'm sure there would still be a horrible mobile app. You'll just use it to schedule your online classes.
Yeah.
They had to probably order those T-shirts a year ago, right? That's why every retail store has all the stuff for Christmas and Halloween and all that, even though they're going out of business, because they ordered all that stuff a year ago. So they probably have warehouses full of those hoodies.
I did wonder why Christmas stuff was in the stores right now. I'm like, really? This is an exception.
All right. That's it for the lightning round. If Justin and Ryan would like to earn a point, they're going to have to get in the queue.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Jonathan gets this.
Social distance queue. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
Anything else you guys want to share?
Just going to go back on vacation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sounds good.
That's tomorrow. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so you can't go on vacation. And then Jonathan's escaping too. He said, "Oh, Justin's leaving. I'm going too." So it's just you. You're holding down the fort.
Oh wow.
Oh, you guys suck.
It's either I leave or I stay and start sending abusive emails to people while you're gone and ruin your vacation. So you guys.
I'm turning off my email, so I will not care.
You can call me Ryan.
Okay.
I'll stand next to you and shrug my shoulders at well, I don't know what it is. What do you think it is? I'll do it together.
Yeah.
Solid move. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a great week in Cloud. We will see you next week here at the Cloud Pod.
Good night.
Good night.
And that is the Week in Cloud. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Foghorn Consulting. Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and tweet us your feedback at #TheCloudPod. Or join our Slack channel. Go to our website, thecloudpod.net for sign-up instructions.